Washington D.C. feels huge the first time you land. You see the dome from the plane, hear sirens and traffic in the distance, and scroll past photos of the mall while you wait at baggage claim. It is easy to think you need a tour bus for every minute. You do not. In 4 days, you can see the big sights, eat in real neighborhoods, and still have time to sit by the river. You will group stops by area, ride trains instead of chasing parking, and use simple timing tricks that keep you ahead of the crowds. Stay to the end for a small, last day move that saves time and makes the city feel familiar when you go home. Day 1. Monuments, Mall, and first Smithsonian hits. Start your first morning on the west end of the National Mall, so you get the classic view before the buses roll in. If your hotel sits near a metro station, ride in early and get off at Foggy Bottom or Smithsonian. At the station, you can buy a Smart Trip card from a machine or add one to your phone. You can also tap a contactless bank card or phone wallet at the gate and pay the usual fare on Metro Rail and Metrobus. The important thing is that each person has a way to tap in and out, so you are not stuck at the turnstile while the train doors close. Walk toward the Lincoln Memorial first. Climb the steps, turn around, and look back over the reflecting pool toward the Washington Monument and the Capitol in the distance. Give yourself a few quiet minutes to read the words on the walls and take in the view. Then, drop back down to ground level and follow the paths to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the Korean War Veterans Memorial in the trees nearby. Morning works best for these stops because it is cooler and you can hear guides and family conversations without the full day noise. From there, follow the reflecting pool toward the World War II Memorial. Stand in the center for a moment and look both ways along the mall. This is usually when visitors first feel how the main monuments line up in one long corridor. When you are ready, walk toward the Washington Monument. You can circle the base even if you do not have an inside ticket. Monument tickets use timed entry and often book out, so check current rules online before you assume you can ride to the top. Late morning is your first museum block. Most Smithsonian museums on the mall open around 10 and close late afternoon. And general admission is free, though hours can shift for holidays and special events, so always confirm for your dates. For this first day, pick one large museum and give it real attention. The National Museum of American History is a strong choice because it sits near the monument and covers everything from the Star-Spangled Banner to transportation and pop culture in one building. Move floor by floor instead of racing between far corners, and you will remember more and argue less in the hallway. Lunch is simple if you keep it simple. Food trucks often line streets near the mall and sell bowls, sandwiches, and plates that you can carry to a bench. Inside the big museums, you will also find cafeterias that move quickly during the early lunch window and give you a break from the weather. Aim to eat around 11 or 11:30 so you are sitting while most people are still trying to decide where to go. After lunch, check your energy. If the National Air and Space Museum is a top priority, walk over and use this first afternoon for a light pass. The main floor holds famous aircraft and spacecraft, while upper levels and side galleries add more depth. Timed entry passes are required in busy seasons, so reserve a free pass in advance when you can and double-check your time. If you cannot get in that day, do not panic. You will have another museum slot later in the trip. If your group needs a break from standing, step outside and use the DC Circulator bus instead of forcing another gallery. The Circulator runs simple routes with a flat low fare and serves the mall and several key neighborhoods, including Georgetown. You can track departures with the official Circulator app or with the Maps app on your phone so you know when the next bus is near. You are not on a narrated tour, yet you get a feel for distances and streets without having to drive. When afternoon heat peaks, turn north for a short reset. Walk into the downtown grid near Pennsylvania Avenue and pick up cold drinks or a snack at a coffee shop or bakery. This small pause keeps everyone from fading before sunset. You are still close to the mall, which sets up your night. Evening is when you circle back to the monuments. You can book a guided bike or walking tour near sunset, or reuse your morning loop in a new order. Start near the Washington Monument, walk down to the World War II Memorial, then continue toward Lincoln as the lights come on. If your group still has energy, follow the paved path around the tidal basin to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial and the Jefferson Memorial. The water is calm, the air cools, and you see reflections you never get at noon. For dinner, do not cross the whole city. Stay near where you already are. In Penn Quarter and the Chinatown area, you will find many family restaurants within a short walk or one metro stop of the mall. A spot like Itinerary serves shareable Mediterranean plates that work well for groups and for picky eaters. For something quicker, and pizza gives you custom pies in a narrow shop where the line moves fast. Eat, walk back to the nearest station, and ride home on metro before everyone is exhausted. Day 2. Capitol Hill, Library of Congress and East Mall Museums. Today you focus on Capitol Hill and the east side of the mall. Take Metro to Capitol South or Union Station and walk toward the Dome. Morning light on the United States Capitol is softer and crowds have not yet peaked. Walk the paths around the grounds for photos and a sense of scale. If you want an interior tour, you need to work through the Capitol Visitor Center or a member office and reserve in advance. For many first visits, seeing the outside and moving on is enough. Cross the street to the Library of Congress. The Thomas Jefferson Building looks ornate from the outside, and even more impressive once you pass security and step into the Great Hall. Look up at the ceiling, then follow signs to the overlook, where you can see the main reading room from above. Timed entry can apply on busy days, so confirm rules before you pick your morning. The Supreme Court building sits close by and makes a quick stop for photos and a reminder that all three branches share the same hill. Late morning, move back toward the mall and choose your next anchor. The National Gallery of Art occupies a west building and an east building, linked by an underground passage. The west side holds more traditional European and American art. The east side leans toward modern work and special exhibits. On a rainy or cold day, this pair can hold you for hours. If your group prefers plants to paintings, walk to the United States Botanic Garden at the foot of Capitol Hill. The Indoor Conservatory offers themed rooms with tropical and desert plants, and the outdoor plots give you a compact park that still feels connected to the city. Lunch is a good time to step into a neighborhood. Eastern Market sits a short walk from the Capitol and has long-running food counters and stalls. You can pick up a hearty plate at market lunch or grab a simple sandwich from another vendor and eat at shared tables while you watch locals shop. On weekends, the outdoor section fills with crafts and produce, which makes the stop even more interesting. If you would rather stay closer to the mall, the National Gallery Cafe and several spots along Pennsylvania Avenue give you sit-down options without a long walk. Afternoon is your deep museum window. The National Museum of African American History and Culture is the main focus if you can secure free timed entry passes. It stands near the Washington Monument and uses passes to manage crowds, especially on weekends and during peak seasons. You pick an entry time on the museum site, arrive a little early, and go straight through security to begin. Lower levels walk through centuries of history and can be heavy. Upper levels explore music, sport, and culture with more open space. plan several hours here and do not stack another intense stop right after. If you cannot get passes or want a different mix, build another museum block instead. You could return to American history with a new focus, spend more time in air and space, or walk to the National Archives just off the mall. The Archives building holds the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights in a dim rotunda that feels very different from the bright galleries of the Smithsonian's. Lines can form, so aim for early or late day rather than the absolute middle. Late afternoon, shift toward the river. Take Metro to Navy Yard or walk if you are close enough. Yards Park along the Anacostia River has lawns, a modern footbridge, and water views that give kids space to run and adults a place to sit. When there is a game at Nationals Park nearby, the area feels busy and festive. On a quiet night, it feels more like a local park. Either way, you have a clear spot to rest after a full museum day. Dinner happens nearby, so you do not have to cross town again. Streets around Yards Park hold many restaurants with outdoor seating in good weather and comfortable indoor space when it is cold. All-purpose near the ballpark is a popular pizza place that works well for groups. The salt line along the river serves seafood plates that highlight the region and works for both casual and slightly special nights. Pick a place that matches your budget and group taste, then walk along the river one more time and ride Metro back from Navy Yard Station when you are ready. Day 3. National Zoo, Rock Creek Trails and Neighborhood Nights. This is your mix of animals, green space, and neighborhood streets. Start at the Smithsonian National Zoo in Northwest Washington. Ride the Red Line to Woodley Park or Cleveland Park and walk along Connecticut Avenue towards the entrance. One direction is steeper going in and the other is steeper coming back, so decide whether you want the climb at the start or the end. Admission is free, but you need a timed entry pass for each visitor and a separate paid parking pass if you plan to drive, so reserve both online before your trip. Parking passes are cheaper when you buy in advance and cost more when you buy on the day of your visit. Arrive near opening time so the paths are cooler and animals are more active. Pick a few key areas instead of trying to cover every corner. Many visitors head for the great apes, the big cats, and the American Trail with otters and seals. The zoo sits on a hill, so expect climbs between sections and use benches and shade to pace your group. Food stands inside will get you through a snack, yet lunch is better just outside the gates. Late morning or early afternoon, walk back down toward the restaurants near Woodley Park or Cleveland Park. Open City near Woodley Park Metro is a relaxed cafe with coffee, breakfast plates, and simple lunch food. In Cleveland Park, you will find pizza and noodle places where you can sit for an hour and cool down. Face on Connecticut Avenue is a small Italian deli that sells slices and take-home dishes in a low-key setting. Use this time to recharge before you decide whether you want more nature or more city. If you still want trees, head into Rock Creek Park. A short rideshare or bus ride from the zoo area brings you to a visitor center or a trail where you can walk along the creek. Paths range from paved multi-use routes to dirt tracks under the trees. Even a short loop will make you forget how close you are to the downtown grid. Watch for bikes on shared paths and keep an eye on the time so you are not caught far from a ride as the light starts to drop. If you prefer more museums, swap Rock Creek for a smaller art stop. The Phillips Collection near DuPont Circle is an art museum housed in a former home. It holds works by well-known artists in rooms that feel calmer than the giant halls on the mall. You can pair this with a slow walk around DuPont, where bookstores and small shops sit close to the circle itself, and side streets feel like a real neighborhood rather than a tourist strip. Evening is your neighborhood night. DuPont Circle and U Street both work well without a car. DuPont has a central park in the traffic circle and a grid of side streets full of restaurants and cafes. U Street carries deep music and civil rights history, along with bright murals. Ben's Chili Bowl on U Street is a landmark counter spot that has fed locals, visitors, and famous figures for decades. Grab a simple meal, read the photo wall, and walk the block to see other historic storefronts. When you are done, take Metro back from U Street or DuPont Circle Station instead of trying to drive narrow streets and hunt for parking. Day 4. Georgetown streets, river time, and Arlington views. Your last day leans into water, older streets, and a final wide view of the city. Start in Georgetown in the morning before crowds and traffic build. Reach it by taking the D.C. circulator from downtown, walking in from Foggy Bottom Station, or using a short rideshare. Begin with a walk along the C&O Canal Path. The canal sits one block up from the main retail streets and gives you stone walls, locks, and quiet bridges that feel older than much of the city around them. From the canal, drop down to Georgetown Waterfront Park on the Potomac River. Wide paths and tiered steps face the water with views of Roosevelt Island and Key Bridge. This is a simple place to let kids run and to watch rowers and paddlecraft move along the river. If you want to get on the water yourself, look for 1-hour sightseeing cruises that leave from the docks at Washington Harbor. Many basic trips cost around $20 to $30 for adults, with higher prices for sunset or themed cruises, and schedules shift with the season, so check times and book ahead if a specific sailing matters to you. Lunch in Georgetown can be as quick or as slow as you want. For a simple meal, stop at a bakery or sandwich shop such as Baked and Wired and carry food to a small park or back to the canal. If you would rather sit for a full break, waterfront restaurants like Farmer's Fish's Bakers offer menus built around seafood and comfort dishes with river views. Pick something close to where you already are so you spend your time eating, not walking long blocks between stops. Afternoon brings you across the river into Virginia. You can walk across Key Bridge into Rosslyn if your group still has energy and the weather is kind. You can also ride Metro to Arlington Cemetery Station. Arlington National Cemetery sits on a hill above the Potomac and gives you a very different mood from the mall. At the visitor center, you pass through security, pick up a map, and decide whether you want to walk on your own or buy tickets for the shuttle that loops through major stops. Check current hours and any service notes on the official site before you lock this plan in, because ceremonies and security needs can affect access and timing. Once inside, move slowly and give the space the respect it deserves. Many visitors head toward the tomb of the unknown soldier to watch the changing of the guard. The schedule runs at set intervals through the day and is posted on site and online. The John F. Kennedy gravesite and the view from near the Memorial Amphitheater are also powerful. Keep voices low, follow staff guidance, and use this as a quiet counterpoint to the busy museums of earlier days. Late afternoon, find one last view. From hilltop points in Arlington, you can see the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and the Capitol lined up across the river. When you cross back over the bridge into the district, the skyline feels familiar instead of abstract. You know how far it is from one end of the mall to the other and how the river bends around the core. Your final evening stays simple on purpose. If you want one more neighborhood stroll, return to Georgetown for shopping on M Street and Wisconsin Avenue, another walk along the canal, or a last sit on the steps at the waterfront. If you would rather slow down, ride Metro back to the area around your hotel and pick a restaurant within easy walking distance. Think about which moment from the trip you want to echo that night. Maybe that is River Light, maybe a market stall, maybe a quiet library ceiling.